In this video I'm going to show you how to make the Sporty Luna Crochet Shrug. These strips of crochet fabric have a pretty flower centered in the rows. Inspired by the traditional techniques of Bruges lace, the addition of large chains at the beginning of each row is an important design feature to join the strips together without sewing. I am using 2 strands of DK weight yarn held together with a size K or 6.5 millimeter crochet hook for a thicker fabric. Doubling your yarn gives you a different weight, so doing 2 strands of DK, I'm getting roughly worsted weight to an Aran weight of yarn. You can make this in any weight yarn you like. The pattern, when you follow the link in the video description, shows you how to make it with the gauge for a sport weight yarn. But ultimately it's the same strips, they're just either bigger or smaller, and you need more or less of them. The first strip starts with a setup row. We're going to chain 18. And then we're going to double crochet in the 6th chain from our hook. You don't count the working loop on your yarn, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Double crochet is yarn over your hook. Insert your hook in the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. And then you want to double crochet in each chain across. Double crochet is yarn over your hook. Insert your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. And we're going to repeat this all the way across. This is what your work should look like at the end of the setup row. You should have 13 double crochets. Row 1 is a chain 5 that does not count as a stitch at all. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet into each double crochet across. At the end of the row, you want to make sure that you only double crochet into the last double crochet and not into that chain 5 that we skipped at the beginning of the setup row. We are intentionally placing chain 5s at the beginning of each row of this strip, and it'll make more sense when we work the second strip, but just keep in mind those aren't stitches that you're double crocheting into. This is what your work should look like at the end of row 1, and you should have 13 stitches. Row 2 starts with a chain 5, that again does not count as a stitch. And then we're going to work a double crochet, 1 double crochet in each of the first 5 double crochets. chain 3, skip the next stitch, and work a 3 double crochet cluster in the next stitch. 3 double crochet cluster is yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through all 4 loops on your hook, chain 3, skip the next double crochet and work 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 double crochets. And this is what your work should look like at the end of row 2. Row 3 begins with a chain 5, which does not count as a stitch, and turn our work. 1 double crochet in each of the first 2 double crochets, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster in the side of the last stitch worked, so yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the side of that last stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook in the same side of that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, skip the next 3 double crochets, work 1 single crochet in the next chain 3 space, 1 single crochet in the next cluster stitch, 1 single crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster in the side of the last stitch worked, yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the side, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook in the side of that last stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, skip the next 3 double crochets and work 1 double crochet into each of the last 2 double crochets. And this is what your work should look like at the end of row 3. Row 4 begins with a chain 5, which does not count as a stitch. Turn your work. 1 double crochet in each of the first 2 double crochets. Chain 7. One single crochet into each of the next 3 single crochets. Chain 7. 1 double crochet into each of the last 2 double crochets. And this is what your work should look like at the end of row 4. Row 5 begins with a chain 5. Turn your work. 1 double crochet into each of the first 2 double crochets. 3 double crochets in the next chain 7 space. Chain 3. Skip 1 single crochet, 3 double crochet cluster in the next single crochet. Chain 3. 3 double crochets in the next chain 7 space. And 1 double crochet into each of the last 2 double crochets. This is what your work should look like at the end of row 5. Row 6 starts with a chain 5, which does not count as a stitch. 1 double crochet into each of the first 5 double crochets. One double crochet in the next chain 3 space, 1 double crochet in the next cluster stitch, 1 double crochet in the next chain 3 space, and 1 double crochet into each of the last 5 double crochets. This is what your work should look like at the end of row 6. Row 7 starts with a chain 5, which does not count as a stitch, and we'll work 1 double crochet in each stitch across. This is what your work should look like at the end of row 7, and you want to repeat rows 2 through 7 for the desired length of your strip, keeping in mind that the length of your strip determines the width of your shrug. The pattern in the photo was a 40-inch strip shrug, but you can decide how long you want it based on how long that you want the sleeves on your shrug. So just you want to repeat rows 2 through 7 for your desired length of the strip, and then fasten off. Next, I'll show you how we join the second strip to the first one. Here's my first strip completed. I'm making a larger size, so I did 9 repeats of the motif. Keep in mind, you do not have to make a shrug with this either. You could make an afghan, any size afghan, baby afghan to a king-size blanket. You could even make a rectangular shawl. You could make any two-dimensional fabric with these strips. Anyway, we've got our first strip done. Okay, we're ready to begin our second strip now, and we're going to be joining it as we go to this first strip. Our setup row for the second strip is chain 15. Okay, then we want to notice how we have those chain 5 spaces on each side of our first strip. We're going to, after chain 15, we are going to slip stitch into the first chain 5 space on the adjacent strip. Slip stitch there, then another chain 2. We want to skip the first 4 chains, so we did 2 chains before the slip stitch, then 2 chains after the slip stitch, and then work 1 double crochet in the next chain. And then work 1 double crochet in each of the remaining chains for our setup row. Okay, and this is what your work should look like at the end of the setup row for the second strip. You want to repeat all the rows from the first strip, row 1, then rows 2 through 7, then repeat row 2 through 7, exactly the same as the first strip, except on every even numbered row, we're going to replace these chain 5s with a joining chain 5, which will be chain 2, slip stitch, and chain 2. So let me just go through the first couple of rows with you. So row 1 of the second strip is a chain 5, which does not count as a stitch. Turn your work and work 1 double crochet in each stitch across. This is what your work should look like at the end of row 1 of the second strip. Row 2 of the second strip starts with a chain 2, slip stitch in the adjacent strips, chain 5 space, chain 2. That chain 2, slip stitch, chain 2 counts as row 2's chain 5 space. So now we'll turn our work. The chain 2, slip stitch, chain 2 counts the same as the chain 5 that we did at the beginning of row 2 for the previous strip. And now we'll work 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 double crochets. Chain 3, skip 1 double crochet, 3 double crochet, cluster in the next double crochet. Chain 3, skip 1 double crochet and 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 double crochets. And this is what your work should look like at the end of row 2 of the second strip. Row 3 starts with a chain 5, then we're going to turn our work. One double crochet into each of the next 2 double crochets, chain 3, 2 double crochet, cluster in the side of the last stitch made, chain 3, 1 single crochet in the next chain 3 space, 1 single crochet in the next cluster stitch, 1 single crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3, 2 double crochet, cluster in the side of the last stitch made, skip the next 3 double crochets, 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 double crochets, And this is what your work should look like at the end of row 3 of the second strip. Row 4 is going to start with the same joining chain 5 as row 2, chain 2, slip stitch into the adjacent strips, chain 5 space, chain 2, turn our work, one double crochet into each of the next 2 double crochets, chain 7, one single crochet into each of the next 3 single crochets, chain 7, one double crochet into each of the last 2 double crochets, and this is what your work should look like at the end of row 4 of the second strip. You may have realized at this point that we're working in the same exact established pattern as the first strip, so you want to repeat all the rows that we did for the first strip for the second strip to the exact same length. The only difference is that at the beginning of each even numbered row, we're going to replace the chain 5 with chain 2, slip stitch to the adjacent chain 5 space, and chain 2. So you want to repeat exactly the same as the first strip for the second strip, except for joining as we go on the even numbered rows. At the end of the last row of the last strip, we're going to chain 3 and slip stitch to the top of the last stitch on the adjacent strip and fasten off. And this is what your work should look like after you've joined 2 strips together. Start at the bottom here. You can see we've joined in every other row, chain 5 space with a chain 5 join, joining strip 1 to strip 2. Okay, so now let's come back to the beginning here and talk a little bit more about what we did. So we have our first motif here, our first strip here, and then here's our second strip. And we joined this strip to the adjacent one on that first chain 5 space, which was at the beginning of the setup row. Now, by doing that, we created the lowest one together here, which means we have a chain 5 space here at the beginning of the first row and here at the beginning of the first row instead of the setup row. And so depending on which side you join to, there are slight modifications between joining the second strip, the third strip, and however many strips you join. You'll always have either the option of joining in the setup row chain 5 or in the row 1 chain 5. So we joined this one by chaining and then slip stitching and joining, and then we ended these strips with a chain 3 and slip stitch to join. And so now we're going to do the reverse when we join in a row 1. So you can either do all of them this way, all of them this way, or alternate the two. So to join the third strip, we're going to join with a slip stitch in the first chain here at the bottom of the beginning chain. We're going to join with a slip stitch, and then our beginning chain okay, we have a chain 21, our chain 3, our chains for 13 double crochets, and our chain for the chain 5. So 13 plus 5 is 18, plus 3 is 21. We're now going to double crochet in the 6th chain from our hook. We don't count the working loop, we'll count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Double crochet is yarn over your hook. Insert your hook in the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of these chains here until we have 13 double crochets, and then we'll skip the last 3 chains. Okay, so we've got our chain 5, 13 double crochets, skip the next 3 chains from that beginning chain, then we'll do our chain 5 join, chain 2, slip stitch in the next chain 5 space, chain 2, and this begins row 1. So what's different about these strips and what's similar, first of all, we're doing the same exact stitch pattern, same exact number of rows as all of our other strips, but we're going to be joining with a chain 5 join at the beginning of the odd numbered rows now. So it's chain 2, slip stitch, chain 2 at the beginning of each odd numbered row, and then work in our established pattern. And you want to repeat the same number of rows for this third strip as we did for the first and second strip. All strips should be the same number of rows for this project. Next, I made some long chains and added some tassels to them so that I could join these together to make a sleeve without being stuck with just that one style. Because this particular fabric would be great as a scarf, it would be great as a cowl, and I like having that flexibility, so when I want to make it into sleeves, I fold it in half like that with the ends coming together, and then I take my chain with the fringe on it and I thread it through those chain 5 spaces, very similar to the way you would thread your shoelaces on your sneakers. So I start from the cuff so that you can adjust as you go to decide how tight you want it to be. And I just go back and forth between the chain 5 spaces. For this size and my size, I'm going to go through the first 9 chain 5 spaces on each side of the shrug. And obviously repeat for both sides. All right, let's go try it on. Okay, let's try it on. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love the tassels dangling down the center right here. I love the fact that I can adjust how tight I want it with the ties. You could add a cuff here. You could even make this longer if you wanted to, but what a wonderful way to cover up your arms and still get to wear super cute summer dresses. Follow the link in the video description to download this pattern. Like, follow, and share for more tutorials. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. I'll see you in the next video.